Exclusive contracted novel by Falun Novel Network. Gaowu era. Starting from nanobugs swallowing the world, crossing the world of high martial arts invaded by fierce beasts, Su Huai awakened his talent for accelerating reproduction, and activated the divine level resource matching system. Every time you elevate your martial arts realm, you can obtain the resources that best suit you. At the beginning, obtain nano-poisonous insects, parasitize the body, absorb energy, reproduce endlessly, and even feed back excess energy to him. Isn't this invincible? So the birth of the insect demon Su Huai and the arrival of natural disasters, a single person forms an army, and wherever they pass, they are poisoned and destroyed, like an unstoppable disaster. And this is just the beginning with the emergence of spirit-eating insects, fire beetles, phosphorus fire insects. The accelerated reproduction of Su Huai has also evolved into 2 times, 3 times, 10 times senior officials of Yanguo. General Su can reach 1 million strong soldiers alone. Shiva Kingdom's top expert. I said I crushed him like crushing a bug, and he raised his hand to attract 100 trillion poisonous insects. Falun Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Commitment letter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Adhere to originality and eliminate non-compliant commitment letters. Pen name, AOAO, guarantee that the signed work belongs to my own original creation, and strictly follow the Falu Writers Convention during the creation process. I adhere to originality and prevent the following violations. If there are any violations, I am willing to bear all consequences arising from it. 1. Ensure that the signed work belongs to one's own original work and does not involve plagiarism or plot plagiarism in Chinese translation. 2. Ensure that no third-party works or plot are plagiarized during the creative process. 3. Ensure that this work is first published and the only contracted website on Falun Novel Network. 3. Ensure compliance with laws and regulations during the creative process, including, but not limited to, violations such as not involving politics, not involving pornography, gambling, drugs, promoting cults, not ghostwriting, not blocking or abolishing manuscripts, not hosting, not selling works or accounts, etc. 4. Ensure that regardless of the word count of the work, the signed work must complete the plot, never end, and never stop or end. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 1. Accelerated Reproduction, Nanotoxic Insects, Natural Disasters. Looking for flower evaluation tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Detected that the host is over 18 years old, system startup. Divine level resource matching system activated, testing host's abilities, talents. Detected that the host has talent. Accelerating reproduction, matching the most suitable resource for you. Matching is complete. Congratulations to the host for obtaining nanobug. To be honest, at this moment, Su Huai was very confused, but it didn't last long. He is not unfamiliar with systems as he is familiar with various online texts. Moreover, when time travel occurs, suddenly a system or something appears. Is it really strange? As a member of the army of travelers, he waited too long for this day. It has been 18 years since I traveled to this world of fierce beast invasion and the martial arts world of the whole nation. Not long ago, I also awakened my companion talent and accelerated reproduction. The talents in this world are divided into 3 categories. Combat, support, and life. Accelerated reproduction belongs to the lifestyle category, a practical lifestyle talent suitable for animals and plants, which can accelerate the growth of leeks and enable sows to give birth to 10 offspring per year. But since I was born in this world of martial arts, who would be willing to be ordinary? Everyone would want to see the peak scenery, right? Immediately open the system interface. Nanotoxins. Belonging to parasites and venomous insects, this type of insect can only exist in biological cells and reproduce by destroying cells. Once the host dies, the host also dies. The exposure time in the air cannot exceed 5 seconds, otherwise the insect will also die. Insects contain highly toxic substances and can quickly destroy the cells of all living organisms, thereby absolutely poisoning the target. Hiss, Su Huai took a shallow breath, his heart beating fiercely in his chest. Along with it came an excitement that erupted from repression and depression, like a volcanic eruption that was earth-shattering, scorching and uncontrollable. The excitement that swept through my body was so great that it was beyond measure. This is not a nanobug, it is clearly his unwillingness to be ordinary in return, it is his chance to change his life against the heavens. In a daze, Su Huai remembered a tragic character from a ninja movie he had seen in his previous life, the oil girl who took the root. A person who was known as absolutely untouchable, because he harbored a highly toxic phosphorus bug inside his body. Once touched, the person who touched it would die suddenly. Even the late-stage boss in a certain shadow ninja with dirt had to sacrifice an arm in order to catch the oil girl and take the root. At a touch, either dead or disabled. Phosphorus beetle is so domineering and fierce. And his nano-venomous insect is almost identical to the phosphorus-infested insect that parasitizes in the oil female's rooting body. So this means that the oil woman can also do what she does when she takes the root. For example, spreading nano-poisonous insects all over her body, transmitting them to the target at the moment of being touched, destroying cells, and quickly poisoning the opponent, alternatively, using nanoscale poisonous insects to blow out toxic dust, release toxic mist, and even create a highly toxic breeding ground, turning a place more than 10 kilometers around into a toxic and lifeless killing ground. The most important thing is that his talent is to accelerate reproduction. If accelerated reproduction is applied to nano-poisonous insects, they can form extremely strong combat power in a very short time. Poison is a terrifying force that fears any living creature. No wonder his system is called God-level resource matching system, and the resources matched to him are the most suitable for himself. Su Huai breathed a sigh of relief, suppressing the surging excitement and joy in his heart, and then extracted the so-called nano-poisonous insect. His left hand was spread out and he looked at the palm of his hand. Although it was empty, he could clearly feel that the little guy, even smaller than a cell, was obediently shrinking in his palm. Nano. The smallest length measurement unit in the vast majority of people's cognition. 1 nanometer is equal to 0.001 micrometers. To visualize this concept, it would be, the smallest cell lymphocyte in the human body has a diameter of 6 microns, which means that one lymphocyte can host 6,000 nanoworms. If an adult has 60 trillion cells, each of which can host at least 6,000 nanoworms. What a terrifying concept is this! Among the many combat talents in this world, there is an extremely rare talent called beast control. Currently, the strongest beast control master in the world can simultaneously control 10 ferocious beasts at the same level as themselves. And what about Su Huai? The nanoworms parasitizing his body and cells will be measured in megabytes. In the future, one person becomes an army. Wherever it passes, the poison and endless swarm of insects turn into natural disasters. What is the opening rocket? This is called the opening rocket. In the future, with only a few seats at the peak of the Yen country, there will surely be a seat for Su Huai. After a moment, Su Huai conveyed a command to the system. Fusion of nano-poisonous insects. With a command, Su Huai shuddered and could feel that the small thing in his palm had seeped into his skin and integrated into the cortical cells. You can also feel that this little guy, who is even smaller than a cell, has started to devour the energy inside his cell. This feeling is very subtle, to describe it forcefully is pulling half a strand of hair from 900,000 cows, subtle enough to ignore the call count, yet truly happening. Ongoing accelerate reproduction, start. Su Huai's mind twitched, and then the poisonous insect split, 1 2, 2 4, 4 16, 16 30.2 like a tower made of sand, like a spark igniting a prairie fire, growing from cumulative to geometric multiples, gradually accumulating, more and more, as if an endless army is rapidly forming. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 2. Toxic Contact Recovery, Rabbit, quick methods to become strong. Seeking evaluation votes and flowers. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. 1 minute later, the first phalanx of Su Huai's left index finger showed a strange purple-brown color, if calculated based on the fact that there are as many as 60 trillion cells in the adult body. Each cell can host at least 6,000 nanoworms, then in this section of the purple-brown finger, there may be around 60 million nanoworms hosted. This is far from enough. Su Huai murmured, accelerating reproduction and continuing to output. Half an hour passed unnoticed, and Su Huai's entire left arm was stained with a deep purple-brown color, indicating that the nanoworms parasitizing the cells had spread throughout his entire left arm. The number of terrifying nanobug legions has exceeded 600 billion. One venomous insect splitting at a time will only produce one more venomous insect, and if 1,000 venomous insects split at the same time, it will instantly increase by 1,000 venomous insects. The larger the population, the faster the growth. Of course, this is just a poisonous insect residing in the epidermal cells of the left arm. If the muscle cells and blood cells of the entire arm were packed with poisonous insects, the number would be an absolutely terrifying astronomical number. After a few more minutes, it was not until the purple-brown climbed along its arm and covered its shoulder blades that Su Huai ordered the nanobugs to stop, forcing them into a dormant state. After all, even the Oil Girl clan in a certain shadow ninja is not constantly feeding insects in their bodies 24 hours a day, but feeding them on time to maintain the maximum number and combat effectiveness of insects. If it were to feed continuously 24 hours a day, it would be unbearable for the Whirlpool clan of chakra meters to come and eat. The purple-brown covering on the arms dissipated, followed by a feeling of dizziness and dizziness. My stomach is growling, the energy consumption in my body was too intense just now. At the end of the day, he is just a barbarian 1-star lowest-ranking warrior, and even a 3-ton off-road vehicle needs to put in all his strength to lift a corner. There is no spiritual power nurtured in the body, relying solely on one's own chi and blood energy to feed and promote the division of poisonous insects. If not restrained, one's own chi and blood value may drop. The existence of poisonous insects is equivalent to giving me a second talent that is no less than combat talents, but with my current martial arts level, persisting until splitting into billions of poisonous insects is already the limit. Su Huai whispered. Tomorrow is the college entrance examination martial arts test. If you don't want to learn postpartum care for sows, you have to show impressive results in the martial arts test that can impress universities that cultivate combat talents. Just covering one arm is not enough to see. You should know that only in the third university in the temperature zone of Tianfu City where he studied, most of the guys who awakened their combat talents have reached the level of Barbarian level 7 stars and Barbarian level 8 stars, capable of easily lifting 7 or 8 tons of heavy objects. Those with family education and rich practical experience can even kill first-order ferocious beasts alone. With his barbaric level 1 star, his martial arts skills are definitely unbeatable, so he can only use his natural abilities to win with a good sword and a biased edge. Do you want to compete with those guys who can tear apart tigers and hunt bears with bare hands, at least to the extent that the skin cells of your whole body are covered with poisonous insects? Thinking of this, Su Huai couldn't help but have a thought in his mind. Seeking wealth and prosperity in danger. How can I know if you can do it without putting in a fight? Either it smells in the mud, or it looks down on the clouds. Since he has done it, he must do his best and crush everyone with immense combat power. This is his living creed. Moreover, promoting the division of nanoworms does not necessarily require the use of their own energy. Immediately open the refrigerator at home and dig out a pile of food to replenish energy, then take the money and go out. It's past 5 p.m. now, and there are less than 16 hours left until tomorrow's college entrance examination. After deducting the rest time at night, his time is already very limited. He must immediately find a place where the poisonous insects can quickly split. Coincidentally, Su Huai knows where to make him stronger. An hour and a half later, a farmhouse in the Wenzhou area of Tianfu City offered a spot to eat service. Su Huai spent 30 yuan to buy a meat rabbit. With one hand handing over the money and the other hand handing over the rabbit, Su Huai's fingers lightly touched the boss's hand, and a faint smile immediately appeared at the corner of his mouth. He certainly didn't have the heart of a thief, he just confirmed one thing. The oil girl in a certain shadow ninja who takes the root is called the untouchable person, because once touched, the phosphorus bug in the body will flow into the other person's body, destroy cells, and quickly poison them, and as long as the nanoworms in his body enter a dormant state, they can avoid unnecessary killing. This is undoubtedly good news, it can save him a lot of unnecessary trouble. I quickly found an empty corner. Sorry. Su Huai said to the rabbit like this. Next second, hiss, Su Huai's left hand quickly covered with a deep purple-brown layer, activating the dormant nano-poisonous insects in his body. The meat rabbit seemed to smell danger and struggle frantically, but it was just a rabbit. How could it break free from the shackles of a barbarian one-star warrior? The nano-poisonous insects rushed in instantly, and the rabbit stopped moving. In 1 second, 3 seconds, and 5 seconds, the rabbit's vitality quickly passed, and its white fur was quickly replaced by purple-brown. This means that the rabbit's body is already filled with nano-poisonous insects, and then just recycle the poisonous insects into its own body. Su Huai raised a finger and touched the rabbit's body, then sneered, accompanied by a deflating sound. The rabbit's fur color quickly returned to normal, but its pupils dilated and it was clearly dead. The purple-brown covering Su Huai's body also spread from his left arm and shoulder blade all the way to his left chest. Sleep. Su Huai ordered that in an instant, the venomous insect parasitizing the epidermal cells fell into a dormant state, and the purple-brown covering the body also disappeared with it. Su Huai breathed a sigh of relief. It was so close. Just now, when the newly added poisonous insect entered the body, it quickly devoured the qi and blood energy in the body, but fortunately it was contained in time by him. What followed was an immeasurable joy. Toxic touch recycling is indeed feasible. When he received the nano-poisonous insect before, he had already made a prediction that he should be able to do everything that the oil girl could do by taking the root. And poison touch recovery is one of the skills for oil woman to take roots. It is a way of guiding the poisonous insect back into its own body by touching the target body. However, the oil girl takes the root and uses this skill to save her teammates who have been accidentally injured, and he, on the other hand, is trying to make the nanobugs split quickly. His qi and blood energy is energy, and the life energy on other living organisms is also energy. Moreover, using the energy of other living organisms to promote the division and reproduction of poisonous insects does not require considering the cost of cell damage. The breeding speed of poisonous insects will only be faster. At this pace, it is entirely possible to achieve full body coverage of poisonous insects today. In this way, tomorrow's high school martial arts exam should be able to get close to the top 100 in Tianfu City. Su Huai thought this way, throwing away the rabbit in his hand, exhausting his life energy, and leaving only an empty shell of the rabbit flying into ashes and annihilating it. Later, he found the landlady of the farmhouse. "Boss, 20 each, I'll take all the rabbits here." Fei Lu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good. Chapter 3. Feedback, Strength Boosting, Practicing Cheating Tools. Looking for flower evaluation tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 1 hour later, in the mountains and fields outside the farmhouse. Su Huai's skin has completely turned purple-brown, to the point where nanoworms, measured in megabytes, cover the entire body without any dead spots. This also makes him look extremely strange and domineering, like a wicked and ferocious god. Wong 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 wong, the passing wild dogs barked at him incessantly, retreating as they barked. Su Huai was holding the last rabbit in his hand, with a slight curve on his mouth. Can even a dog smell his unusual scent? This indicates that his over 2,000 yuan has not been spent in vain, and his strength has truly improved and become stronger. Su Huai glanced at the dog, and the wild dog immediately ran away like a ghost in the daytime, flying away. Su Huai's gaze also fell back on the rabbit in his hand. So here's the problem. Now that the nanoworms in the body are saturated, will this rabbit continue to serve as a breeding ground for the worms to divide and reproduce, or will it be slaughtered and taken home to eat meat? If I remember correctly, once the amount of chakra fed to the oil female Jinai's parasite deviates, it will become a parasite that can sustain the target's body. I wonder if the nano-venomous insect, which is similar to the phosphorus parasite, has this ability. With such thoughts in his heart, Su Huai first ordered the nanoworms to stop dividing and reproducing, and then injected them into the rabbit's body. However, the next second, he was somewhat surprised to find that although the poisonous insects injected into the rabbit's body had stopped dividing and reproducing, they were still crazily consuming the life energy inside the rabbit's body. When they had eaten enough, they returned to his body and replaced it with another batch. And until the rabbit's body was completely devoured and turned into fly ash, the nanobugs showed no signs of growing or bursting the rabbit's body. Am I overthinking it? After all, nanovenomous insects are not the same species as parasitic insects and phosphorus pests. Su Huai murmured. But at this moment, there seems to be a buzzing sound inside the body, followed by a feeling of regeneration and strengthening. Muscles tear and regenerate, meridians stretch and rebound, becoming more resilient, bone density increases, becoming harder and stronger. Sleeping slot. Su Huai, who had been stunned on the spot for a while, suddenly burst into a rough sentence. The exhausted nano-poisonous insects in his body were ruminating out excess energy, which was refining his qi and blood, stimulating enhanced regeneration, making him full of qi and blood, condensing his blood, and becoming stronger. I can clearly feel that my own strength is rapidly increasing with a soaring momentum. Is this backfeeding? Surprised, Su Huai quickly figured out a principle. When the nanobugs were hungry, they would devour their qi and blood energy, and when these little ones were full, they would return the excess energy to him. Does this not mean that as long as the nano-poisonous insect continuously devours energy and returns it to him, his qi, blood, and strength can continue to grow? Sleeping trough. Isn't this the rhythm of direct takeoff? You should know that the martial arts of this world are strictly divided into 8 levels. Barbarian level, tiger level, elephant level, dragon level, heavenly level, king level, emperor level, and emperor level. Each level is further divided into 1 to 9 stars, before reaching the peak of their own qi and blood refining, nurturing spiritual power in their bodies, and becoming a heavenly level warrior. Warriors from the 4 realms of barbarians, tigers, elephants, and dragons all rely on refining qi and blood, taking elixirs that enhance qi and blood, and heavenly and earthly treasures to enhance their strength. The cheapest low-grade qi and blood potion on the market is priced at 5,000 yuan, but he only needs 20 yuan to buy a rabbit and 2,000 yuan to buy 100, greatly reducing the cost of cultivation. At the same time, even if other warriors have potions and natural treasures, they still need to spend a lot of time refining and absorbing them, and there is also energy loss in the process. Faced with the same natural resources and treasures, he only needs to let the poisonous insects devour them and then feed them back to him, with an energy absorption and utilization rate of almost 100%. Amidst the ups and downs, it is not an exaggeration to say that he has already won at the starting line, beating fellow martial artists and peers several streets away. Even in the face of someone stronger than him, he can still catch up and quickly surpass. This is simply a perfect practice cheat tool. As long as I have enough energy, my cultivation time will be greatly reduced, 5 times, 10 times faster than other martial artists, and even more. The path of others' martial arts cultivation requires exploration, trial and error, and the cost of taking a wrong direction. As someone who possesses nano-poisonous insects, I am like having a path to the sky under my feet. What we need to do next is just walk step by step. Su Huai let out a sigh and clenched his fist slightly, trying to suppress a little of his excitement, joy, and even excitement. However, the fact proves that it can't be suppressed at all. Just like a person who has won 5 million first prizes, even if they desperately suppress their own joy and excitement, the adrenaline that makes people excited will still secrete wildly, and they will unconsciously jump when walking. Moreover, what Su Huai obtained was a great road leading to the peak of martial arts and the level of emperor, known as the Tongtian Avenue. Furthermore, his biggest trump card is not accelerating reproduction or nanobugs, but the recently activated divine level resource matching system today. The nano-poisonous insect is just the beginning. In the future, with each level of advancement, the system will continuously match it with the most suitable resources. This is the true cultivation cheat tool, right? Thinking of this, Su Huai's tightly clenched fists made a series of creaking sounds, and finally, the uncontrollable joy and excitement in his heart turned into a deafening roar. Compared to the top 100 in Tianfu City, it seems that the top 100 in the entire Sichuan region is more challenging. If you can enter the top 100 in the Sichuan region, it will be stable to be admitted to a university that cultivates martial arts talents for combat. No, I want to take the exam for the top 10 martial arts universities in Yanguo. Stand at the peak. From the ninth heaven to the underworld, from heaven and earth, I am the only one. The power of walking at the level of a natural disaster, such as lifting one's hand to deal with a poisonous insect disaster and stomping one's feet to deal with a mountain collapse, is intoxicating. Just by thinking about it. After shouting, Su Huai felt an unprecedented sense of pleasure and then walked back to the farmhouse again. "Boss, how do you sell chickens, ducks, geese, and dogs here? I want them all." Fei Lu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good. Chapter 4. National College Entrance Examination, NCEE, Martial Arts Exam, Seed Candidates, and Explosive Tables. Seeking Evaluation Votes and Flowers. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The next morning, Su Huai woke up from his sleep, feeling the surging qi and blood in his body, as well as the saturated and starving nano-poisonous insects parasitizing in cortical cells. His hazy expression quickly faded away and a flash of semen flashed through his eyes. Top 100 in Sichuan Province. Top 10 martial arts universities in Yanguo. After having a simple breakfast and distributing some energy to feed the trillions of poisonous insects, I brought my admission ticket and ID card out. After taking the subway, you will arrive at the sports center located in Wuqiu District, Tianfu City, which is one of the examination points in Tianfu City. Compared to usual desolation, the sports center was already crowded with people, all of whom were candidates coming to take the martial arts exam. Along the way, my ears were filled with hopeful, anxious, or nervous discussions from the candidates around me. I don't know what kind of results a barbarian 5-star can achieve. If there are too many, I will be satisfied if I can enter the top 200 of Tianfu City. Top 200 in Tianfu City. Are you thinking about peaches? Do you know how many people in 166 universities in Tianfu City have reached the level of barbarian 7 stars or above? Nearly 10,000 people. Do you know how many have reached the level of barbarian 8 stars? Nearly 5,000 people. About 82,000 people from Tianfu City will participate in the college entrance examination this year. Do you think you can rank in that position? Sleeping in bed. Isn't it? I suddenly feel a little envious of those who have awakened their special life skills. I heard that many people have already been admitted to their corresponding universities in advance. Alas, unfortunately, I had a dream of rushing into the top 200 of the Sichuan region last night, and it turns out that all dreams are opposite. Top 200 in the Sichuan region. Are you really thinking about farting? The only monsters that can challenge this goal are Tang Ruilong, Yu Haisheng, and Wu Tong. As soon as the words fell, they immediately drew a wave of agreement from the candidates around them. That's right, it said that those 3 guys' martial arts strength has already reached the tiger level, and it's safe to take the exam for the top 10 martial arts universities in Yan country. Both of them are human beings. I really don't know how these guys cultivate. I thought that the barbarian level 7 stars and 8 stars were already very outstanding. Waves of words poured into Su Huai's ears, which made him look forward to it. Yesterday, He spent more than 30,000 yuan at the farmhouse, and when he left, the whole farmhouse was deserted almost crazily, using nano-poisonous insects to feed back and level up, causing a surge in one's own chi, blood, and martial arts strength, only to soar into the sky for today. A candidate with tiger-level strength. This surprised him a bit, but it was just an accident. According to his estimation, his current martial arts strength will never be lower than that of a barbarian level 7 star, and coupled with the nano-poisonous insects that can cover his entire body, in terms of combat power, a tiger-level warrior may not necessarily be stronger than him. Follow the crowd into the entrance, follow the process, queue up, check ID cards and admission tickets, and rush towards the entrance with a group of candidates. The annual college entrance examination and martial arts examination have finally begun. Entering the venue, the huge sports center, which can accommodate over 100,000 people, has now been divided into countless examination areas. Each exam area has 3 examiners, one responsible for data testing, one responsible for practical testing, and one responsible for maintaining order and arranging candidates to enter in an orderly manner. Su Huai found his examination room based on his admission ticket and waited in line. The candidates lined up honestly, waiting for the invigilator to call their numbers and enter. Quickly, the invigilator called his ID number. Su Huai. Entering the room, what caught Su Huai's eye were 2 examiners, a table with instruments and a practical simulation laboratory. As Su Huai walked in, both examiners unconsciously furrowed their brows, and their muscles instinctively tightened before stretching out. The 2 examiners exchanged a glance, both seeing the same astonishment and doubt in each other's eyes. Just now. When the candidate named Su Huai walked in, they suddenly felt a strong aura rushing towards them, deep and domineering, suppressed and fierce. Standing in front of them was clearly a person, but it gave people a sense of danger like a poisonous insect or beast. In front of the young man's gaze, there was even a feeling of being watched and scrutinized by thousands of sharp eyes. This leads them to subconsciously tighten their muscles and take a defensive stance. But when the 2 of them came to their senses, they suddenly realized how ridiculous everything that had just happened to them was. Those who can serve as invigilators here are at least the strength of dragon-level warriors. 2 dragon-level warriors would be intimidated by a mere candidate. It's like the world is slipping. Even if this candidate is a tiger-level warrior like Tang Ruilong, Yu Haisheng, and other monster students on the seed list, it is impossible to bring them a sense of oppression in their aura. Turning to his senses, the examiner in front of the table first confirmed that Su Huai's identity information was correct, and then gestured for him to wear a detection bracelet. Wear a wristband and use your maximum strength to punch. The wristband will record your punching power. If you are good at leg and foot techniques, you can also replace it with a footband. Su Huai put on his wristband, took a deep breath, stomped on the ground, and the momentum that rebounded from the ground climbed all the way to his legs, hips, waist, back, and arms, transmitting and stacking his strength. Next second, forcefully punch, burst with power, boom. The detection bracelet on Su Huai's wrist exploded and shattered with a loud bang. Explosive, explosive. Exploded. Looking at the scattered fragments of the detection bracelet, the invigilator standing at the table looked shocked, and his pupils suddenly narrowed into 2 thin lines. A strong sense of disbelief suddenly swept through my heart. How could this be? You should know that the testing wristbands for the college entrance examination and martial arts test are all standardized and can withstand any force or impact of less than 12 tons. Watching the detection bracelet explode helplessly, he could only think of one possibility, which was that the strength of the candidate named Su Huai who had just exploded exceeded the maximum tolerance limit of the detection bracelet. This caused the detection bracelet to be damaged. Stop counting. According to the most accurate parameters given by the world's top 5 clubs, the strength of a barbarian 1-star warrior is 1 ton, the strength of a 2-star warrior is 2 tons, and so on. 9 stars are 9 tons. And reaching 10 tons is a tiger level 1-star, and 20 tons is a tiger level 2-star. So, there is only one answer. this candidate named Su Huai has already reached the Tiger level 1-star level, which is not inferior to the monster level potential of Tang Ruelong, Yu Haisheng, and Wu Tong on the seed list. This potential and achievement, even if placed in a youth training camp that gathers Sichuan, Yunnan, Guizhou, Tibet, and the directly administered city of Chongqing, a total of 4 domains and 1 city, may still be enough to rank in the top 100. Just this kind of monster-level potential student, when they visited various universities before, surprisingly did not notice it. This is a major work mistake. The invigilator who had been guarding the actual combat simulation room also had a blink of an eye, obviously surprised by the scene in front of him. Coming to his senses, he immediately flipped through the candidate's information. Tianfu City 1 District 3rd High School, 2 classes in 3 years. Su Huai, what is the martial arts strength of? Barbarian level 1 star. Sleeping trough. How could this be possible? What is a barbarian 1 star? It means that the force is not less than 1 ton and has not reached 2 tons. The candidate's information has been repeatedly verified by the Ministry of Education of Yanghua, and there is no possibility of errors. Thinking of this, the invigilator's gaze was mistakenly fixed on the final update time of the candidate's information. May 24th. And today is June 6th if the information is correct. Hiss. The invigilator took a deep breath. Does that mean that Su Huai jumped from a barbarian star to a tiger star in just 2 weeks? At least the strength has increased. Sleeping trough, 11 tons. What kind of cultivation speed is this? 14 days, 11 tons, with an average daily increase of nearly 0.8 tons of strength. What kind of monster is this kid? It's hard to imagine. But it shouldn't be. According to the information, his companion talent is to accelerate reproduction, which belongs to the life-type talent and has no effect on improving martial arts strength. How could his speed of strength improvement be so terrifying? This is simply subverting common sense. No, it's simply subverting cognition. More than 2 examiners were stunned on the spot, and there was also the initiator of the incident. So, what happened? Sleeping trough. What is my strength level after being fed back by nano-poisonous insects to refine my qi and blood? Obviously, this scene didn't even occur to him. Fei Lu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good. Chapter 5. Strange exam data, the absolute shock brought by dual talents. Looking for flower evaluation tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sorry Su Huai, could you please put on this testing bracelet and try again? The invigilator standing at the table handed over another wristband. Su Huai didn't ask much, just put it on. Because he also really wants to know what level his strength has been tempered to after being fed back by the nano-poisonous insects. Step up and stomp on the ground. The rising thrust climbs upwards from the feet, to the legs, hips, waist. Just like the previous scene. Power is constantly transmitted, stacked, flowing into the right arm, exploding with a powerful punch. Bang, there was a muffled sound in the air, but compared to the previous explosion, there was a hint of insignificance. The nearby instrument received data and immediately displayed it as 14.8 tons. The pupils of the 2 invigilators trembled fiercely again, and the hearts in their chests suddenly bulged. 14.8 tons, a difference of 5.2 tons to 20 tons, which is the level of Tiger level 2 stars. Although compared to Tang Ruelong, Yu Haisheng, and Wu Tong on the seed list, Su Huai's punch is still a bit lacking in meaning. But can this stomping on a horse be the same? Tang Ruelong, Tiger level 2 star, with a fist power of 20.3 tons, the son of Tang Sheng, Deputy Minister of the City Defense Department of Tianfu City, with combat talent and exceptional speed. Yu Haisheng, Tiger Class 1 star, with a fist power of 17.9 tons, second young master of the Yu Clan Chamber of Commerce in Tianfu City, with combat talent and frenzy. Wu Tong, Tiger level 2 star, with a fist power of 23.1 tons, descendant of the 8 Extreme Martial Arts School in the Tianfu City Military District, with combat talents and tremendous mountain-shaking power, and what is Su Huai's talent? Accelerate reproduction. Life-related talents. Combat talents contribute to the growth of martial arts strength, while life talents have almost no help in improving martial arts strength, which is a universally recognized fact. Life-type talented warriors are comparable to combat-type talented warriors, and so on. It's so ridiculous. Even if the facts are right in front of us, it gives people a strong sense of disbelief. Unbelievable. Su Huai was also surprised. 14.8 tons. Crouching slot, Tiger level 1 star level. Under the feedback of the nano-poisonous insect, jumped from the Barbarian level 1 star to the Tiger level 1 star overnight. The strength has increased by about 11 tons, not to mention the two invigilators. Even he himself has a full sense of incredulity. This is not a direct takeoff, it's clearly flying vertically at the speed of a rocket. For a moment, the invigilator standing at the table suppressed his shock and astonishment, recording Su Huai's grades. Then he took out a needle and said to him, "Next, we need to measure your qi and blood concentration." Su Huai nodded. He had also done this type of test at school, and if I remember correctly, the value from the last test was 1.4 points. Skilled taking the needle, skillfully inserting it into the fingertips. It is related to his own level of strength improvement, and he wants a more precise result than anyone else. 2 seconds later, the needle was pulled out, and the hollow needle tube brought out a dense strand of blood. Su Huai was overjoyed. The blood concentration taken out last time was like porridge, only slightly thicker than water, and the just drawn strand of blood is like freshly poured rapeseed oil, with a thick texture visible to the naked eye. It seems that the feedback effect of nano-poisonous insects on him is much greater than expected. The invigilator dropped blood on the instrument and scraped it open with a glass scraper, but the data displayed on the instrument surprised the two invigilators. 8.7 o'clock. How could it be? The two examiners exchanged a glance, both seeing the same confusion and even astonishment in each other's eyes. You should know that qi and health are mutually reinforcing. Simply put, if his strength reaches 14.8 tons, his qi and health will not be lower than 14 points. Normally, if the HP value is 8.7, the maximum strength of a person should be below 9 tons, which is the level of a barbarian 8 star. With a qi and health value of 8.7, a data of 14.8 tons was achieved. In other words, a barbarian 8-star warrior punched out the power of a Tiger level 1 star. This is simply impossible. The difference between the two data is too big. Did this kid take medication before the exam? That's even more impossible. If you have ever taken medication, the moment you put on the detection bracelet, it will trigger an alarm. Since the detection bracelet doesn't sound, it means you haven't taken medication. Su Huai, your HP has reached 8.7 and your strength has reached 14.8 tons, which meets the standard for conducting a practical exam. You have 5 minutes to prepare, and once you're ready, enter the practical simulation warehouse. The invigilator who has been guarding the actual combat simulation room said calmly. The practical simulation warehouse is one of the greatest inventions of this era, which can collect all user data and conduct practical simulation in the spiritual space, even analyzing blood components and simple medical functions, regardless of whether Su Huai has taken medication or not. As long as he enters the actual combat simulation warehouse, the truth about this strange exam score will be revealed. Su Huai nodded. He had also used a practical simulation warehouse in school and was very clear that it would collect users' body data. He is not worried that his possession of nanobugs will be exposed as a result. What if it's exposed? If you have muscles, show them out. If you don't show off, how do others know you're very handsome? How can you be valued if others don't know you're pretty? Only the weak will keep thinking about hiding. He wants to be admitted to the top 10 martial arts universities in Yanguo, in order to be valued and obtain more cultivation resources, so that he can quickly improve his own strength and reach the pinnacle of martial arts. Immediately lie down in the actual combat simulation chamber, wear a projection helmet, and gradually lose consciousness at the same time. Data is displayed on the display screen on one side of the actual combat simulation warehouse. Name: Su Huai. Age: 17 years, 11 months, and 9 days, Companion Talent 1. Accelerated Reproduction Companion Talent 2. Poison Sleeping Trough. The two invigilators suddenly became calm. I felt as if the pounding heart in my chest had suddenly been pinched hard and tightened. The two of them had their 4 eyes bulging out fiercely, as if about to fall, and their stiff faces were only left with a ghostly expression of shock and astonishment. The data on the display screen no longer seems to be cold data, but a sudden lightning bolt that passes in front of us, leaving our minds blank. Slowly wriggling his mouth, he shook out a few words. Ah! Surprisingly. Dual talents. The two examiners exchanged a glance. We all saw an indescribable shock and amazement in each other's eyes. Why can this student named Su Huai unleash 14.8 tons of power with 8.7 HP? Why was he able to climb from a barbarian star to a tiger star in just 2 weeks? In this moment, it seems like everything has an answer. This is no longer within the scope of our judgment. I will keep an eye on his exam data, and you should go and ask Mr. Lin immediately. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 6. 1 vs 1000, The True Terror of Poison. Looking for flower evaluation tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the same time, simulate the world in real combat. Su Huai's consciousness gradually regained consciousness, and what caught his eye was a vast expanse of grassland. It was the combat interior generated by the actual combat simulation warehouse. He stood up calmly. After all, he had also conducted practical simulations at school and was not unfamiliar with this assessment method. I just don't know which set of exam questions will be drawn. You should know that real-world simulation is a very broad concept. The test questions drawn are not only about fighting simulated fierce beasts, but also may encounter forms such as defending the city, hunting monsters, eliminating black organizations, obtaining items, and collecting intelligence. It is precisely because of this diversity of realistic simulations that the Realistic Simulation Warehouse is known as one of the greatest inventions of this era. In this era where human civilization may be invaded by fierce beast civilization at any time, this diverse simulation training and examination can also help students learn how to face and deal with different combat situations more quickly, greatly enhances the survival rate of warriors in unexpected situations. Immediately, a line of prompt text popped up in front of Su Huai's eyes. Consciousness loading successful, extracting exam questions. Extraction completed, test content. Fierce beasts encircling the city. Fierce beast level setting. First to second order, fierce beast quantity setting. 1000 plus, generating urban troops, urban defense. Are ferocious beasts besieging the city? Glancing at the simulated city defense buildings, weapons, etc. behind him, Su Huai's mouth curved in an arc. Great. He only encountered this set of exam questions once during his practical simulation training at school. If I remember correctly, his score at that time should have been 3 kills and 1 heavy blow, death of body, death of defending general, and city destruction. Now that he has drawn it again, it can also more intuitively reflect the changes in his strength after fusing with nano-poisonous insects. At this moment, everything around Su Huai was also rapidly changing. He stood in front of the city gate, with the battlefield ahead in a raging tide of ferocious beasts, and the city behind him, walls, and gunfire and smoke everywhere. Exam question. The fierce beast siege has been generated. Candidates are requested to make the most correct judgment based on their own situation and implement it. Level qualification standard. Successfully defended the city. Level good standard. Successfully defending the city, with a battle damage rate of less than 80% for defending soldiers, A. Level excellent standard. Successfully defending the city, with a battle damage rate of less than 50% for defending soldiers, S.Level Super Excellent Standard. Successfully defending the city, the battle damage rate of defending soldiers is less than 30%, and the damage rate of urban buildings is less than 50%, exam countdown, 5. 4, 3. As the countdown zeroed out, roar, the fierce beast that appeared in the simulation tool rushed from 800 meters away, roaring and roaring, causing rolling smoke and dust, and creating waves of earth shaking and mountain shaking. The earth trembled, as if it were an earthquake. Bang! Su Huai stood up and stomped on the ground, his whole body rushing out like a shell out of the barrel, feeling the surging chi and blood in his body. He was full of fighting spirit. The distance between humans and the tide of ferocious beasts is rapidly shrinking, 5 meters, 3 meters, 1 meter everywhere. Poisonous malaria. Su Huai's eyes turned cold, and the nano-venomous insects scattered throughout the cortical cells of his body were instantly activated, with a deep purple-brown color covering his entire body in an instant. Evil, domineering, cold, and fierce. A powerful aura rolls out. Bang! With a fierce punch, he directly hit the nearest ferocious beast. In an instant, tens of millions of nano-poisonous insects rolled in, crazily devouring the beast's internal cells. The limbs of the hit ferocious beast turned purple-brown to the naked eye and quickly spread. This is the ferocity of nanobugs. Quickly acquire energy by destroying cells and divide and reproduce at an extremely fast speed. The faster the diffusion speed, the faster the reproduction speed of the nano-poisonous insects in the target body, and the faster the speed of being poisoned. Almost at the moment when the nano-poisonous insect invaded the simulated ferocious beast's body, Su Huai grabbed its limbs and unleashed a force of 14.8 tons after refining its chi and blood. He swung the ferocious beast and injected the nano-poisonous insect crazily, dancing it around his body like a meteor hammer. This ferocious beast turns purple-brown to the naked eye, and the surrounding ferocious beasts that have been bumped into are also poisoned. Nanovenomous insects crazily split and reproduce in their bodies. A fierce beast completely collapsed, followed by the second and third heads. The fierce beast in front fell, while the fierce beast behind rushed forward and trampled on it. Bang bang, a series of trampled ferocious animal corpses exploded one after another, buzzing. A purple-brown toxic mist suddenly swept through the skin and respiratory tract of the surrounding ferocious beasts, rapidly entering their bodies, destroying cells and reproducing rapidly. Immediately after, patches of purple-brown ferocious beasts collapsed. What follows is a replay of history: trampled, poisoned, fallen, trampled again, poisoned again, fallen again. Life is 2, 2 is 3, 3 is infinite. The speed of terrifying spread and the immediate formation of large-scale killing are the true terrifying aspects of poison. Using poison as a tool and insects as a medium, killing all beings with poison and transforming into a natural disaster. Wherever it passes, there is no vitality left, only the land of poisonous slaughter. Watching the ferocious beasts around him fall one after another, Su Huai didn't idle either. After taking a deep breath, bulging his muscles, and refining his chi and blood, he once again exerted a force of 14.8 tons and threw the ferocious beast in his hand like a discus towards the depths of the ferocious beast tide. Then, boom, this ferocious beast, injected with the largest number of nano-poisonous insects, exploded like a bomb in the depths of the ferocious beast tide, and the rising toxic mist was like a mushroom cloud, both filled with destruction and magnificent. No, to be precise, that's not poison mist, but poisonous insects. Millions of nanotoxins, smaller than the smallest lymphocytes in the human body, gather together and form a purple-brown mist-like presence. Although the survival time of nano-venomous insects exposed to the air after leaving the host does not exceed 5 seconds, there are trillions of venomous insects in a purple-brown mist. What a terrifying number is this! The ferocious beasts rolling in like a torrent can be deadly with just one inhalation. Even if it's just a small amount, it can still be parasitized by nanoworms and poisoned. In less than 10 seconds, it can still be fatal. 5 seconds is enough to kill dozens of ferocious beasts, and these dozens of ferocious beasts will once again become a new source of poison, infecting endlessly unless all the creatures in this space are extinguished. Otherwise, endless poison will never stop. Fei Lu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good. Chapter 7. Fierce Poison and Strong Infection, The Professor's Extreme Fear. Looking for flower evaluation tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time goes back 1 minute. Exam room. Looking at the real time data and battle projection projected next to the actual combat simulation warehouse, the Invigilator took a deep breath and suppressed the shock caused by the rare dual talents. Is the fierce beast besieging the city? The Invigilator frowned slightly. This candidate's luck is not very good. Fierce beasts besiege the city, one of the 3 most difficult sets of exam questions. The simulation recreates the nationwide fierce beast disaster 20 years ago, and the selected simulation location is a border city directly slaughtered by the fierce beasts. The fierce battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, with all 50,000 soldiers defending the city sacrificed. The city's defending general, king-level martial artist, and army leader Yi Fanhai fought a bloody battle for 3 days and 3 nights, killing as many as 30.66 order ferocious beasts, breaking through hundreds of 5th order ferocious beasts, and countless 4th order and below. When exhausted, they were surrounded and consumed to death by thousands of 1st order ferocious beasts. Hold back to the extreme. This set of exam questions restores the scene at that time. To reach the minimum qualification line for successfully defending the city, it is necessary to find a node that can turn the entire war around. For warriors who have undergone systematic training by the Yanguo army or have experienced battles against fierce beasts, this is not difficult. For students who have not even walked out of the school gate, it is almost impossible to achieve the goal. Although every university in Yen country lists this set of exam questions as textbooks, they are all simplified versions that reduce the truly cruel part of the defending battlefield, and their level of cruelty and despair is far less than 1/10 of the exam version. So, almost all the candidates who got this set of exam questions can only admit to being unlucky. The test of the college entrance examination is a fixed item, while the practical exam is a bonus item. There are less than 100 candidates who can still earn bonus points by drawing this set of exam questions since the birth of the exam questions over 20 years ago. The Invigilator watched Su Huai's figure projected from the battle and silently burned incense for him in his heart, especially when he saw thousands of 1st order ferocious beasts rolling in like a tide, but Su Huai was stunned and stuck in place. His expression was even more unexpected. After all, this set of exam questions is a hellish level of difficulty for candidates, and the vast majority of teachers will tell students not to waste time if they draw the game of Beast Siege. So, this candidate named Su Huai should also have the same plan. Sure enough, in the next second, Su Huai in the picture piled up like a barrel of shells, heading towards the surging tide of ferocious beasts. The Invigilator nodded briefly. He really chose to give up. But this is the normal situation, isn't it? If Su Huairua really passes the Beast Siege exam and gets extra points, that's the real abnormality. But at this moment, everywhere poisonous malaria, in the picture, Su Huai suddenly transformed into a purple-brown figure, releasing a domineering, cold, and ferocious aura, like a ferocious god. The scent of hunting can be felt even through the screen. This couldn't help but remind the Invigilator of the moment when Su Huai walked into the examination room, recalling the low and domineering aura, the suppressed and fierce aura that made this Grand Dragon-level warrior feel dangerous in a daze. Isn't he planning to give up? The Invigilator was puzzled and then frowned again. If you're not planning to give up, facing hundreds or thousands of 1st order ferocious beasts, but choosing to just go up or something is too foolish. As the saying goes, 2 fists are hard to beat 4 hands. A barbarian warrior was surrounded and beaten by 1,000 warriors of the same level, but still couldn't bear it, not to mention more than 1,000 1st-order ferocious beasts. You should know that although 1st-level ferocious beasts and barbarian-level warriors are theoretically at the same level, in reality, they either rely on powerful weapons and equipment, or form groups of 3 or 5 to besiege, otherwise warriors of the same level will definitely not be able to deal with ferocious beasts. If we were to go to the battlefield, Su Huai's actions would be like risking his life for nothing but the next second. Sleeping slot. The invigilator suddenly let out a scream of surprise. In the picture, Su Huai swung one leg of the fierce beast with one hand, using it as a weapon to repel all the attacking beasts. As long as Su Huai hit him once, the fierce beast would lose its combat power within 5 seconds and die within 10 seconds. Poison. The invigilator suddenly remembered Su Huai's second talent and felt a sudden tightness in his heart muscle. Sleeping trough. Lose combat power in 5 seconds and die within 10 seconds. How could this be possible? What kind of intense toxicity is this? What kind of poison can be so fierce? What kind of body can withstand such fierce poison? You should know that the essence of companion talent is a part of the body, just like human hands and feet, so, the strength of the companion talent depends on the warrior's own strength. Simply put, the stronger the body and the higher the level of strength, the stronger the companion talent. How strong can a student who hasn't even walked out of the school gate be? Compared to the terrifying toxicity, Su Huai's physical strength is truly incomprehensible and subverts cognitive existence. In shock, the invigilator's eyes flickered repeatedly, but then he denied. No. The strongest toxin of this kind is not toxicity, but infectivity. The fierce beasts in the picture have a slight bump and are immediately poisoned. The toxins quickly spread throughout the body, causing their bodies to quickly turn purple-brown. It's simply hard to understand. What kind of monster is this Su Huai? As the fierce beasts in the picture fell one after another, the invigilator suddenly had a ridiculous idea in his mind that even he thought was absurd. Sleeping slot. This kid can't really pass the level of the fierce beast siege, can he? 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 8. Exam Difficulty Enhancement, Youth Training Camp. Looking for flower evaluation tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sleeping slot. This kid can't really pass the level of the fierce beast siege, can he? The invigilator suddenly had an idea in his mind that even he thought was absurd. You should know that the beast siege exam has been in use for over 20 years, and less than 100 people have been able to pass this exam in the past 20 years. However, what surprised the invigilator even more was that this absurd idea was quickly confirmed. The fierce beasts on the projection screen were dyed purple-brown one after another, and kept falling one after another. When I saw Su Huai throwing the ferocious beast in his hand like a discus in the picture lying trough, the invigilator's eyeballs protruded fiercely again, as if they were about to fall off. Although it is unknown how exaggerated the physical strength of this candidate named Su Huai has reached, it can be certain that his strength has definitely reached 14.8 tons. But why does a person with 14.8 tons of strength have only 8.7 HP points? This is hard to understand. It goes against common sense. Oh. Do you use poison? This talent is rare. At this moment, a cool and playful female voice suddenly sounded from behind the examiner. The invigilator suddenly became alert. Without any defense, a voice suddenly sounded from a quiet examination room, which was truly heart-stopping. Subconsciously turning around, 2 figures in military robes came into view, one male and one female. The man carries 2 bars and 1 star on his shoulder, and Huachanga is the deputy head of the Tianfu City examination area. The woman carries 2 bars and 2 stars on her shoulders, and Lin Miaoyuan is the overall person in charge of the Tianfu City examination area. Pa, the invigilator stood at attention, with his back straight. Chief Lin, Chief Hua. Lin Miaoyuan nodded slightly and continued to pay attention to the projection screen next to the actual combat simulation warehouse. Seeing a large area of ferocious beasts falling in the picture, I also glanced at the timing in the bottom right corner of the projection screen. 1 minute and 30.5 seconds. More than 20 years ago, the final scene of the siege battle that consumed the border city defender and Wang-level warrior Yi Fanhai was so quickly broken. This candidate is a bit interesting. From her perspective, it is not difficult to see that Su Huai's cultivation of martial arts skills in the picture is lacking, almost entirely relying on brute force and fierce poison in combat. It is precisely because of this that her interests can be aroused. Poison, whether it is against humans or ferocious beasts, is an absolute killing thing. Compared to ordinary combat talents, warriors who use poison as a means of killing are more likely to unleash their divine power on the battlefield against fierce beasts. A smile curved above the red lips of Dan Zhu and said, "Is he the monster candidate with only 8.7 HP and 14.8 strength?" The invigilator on the side quickly responded, "Yes, yes. This candidate's name is Su Huai." At the beginning, he even smashed the standard testing wristband of the college entrance examination with a punch. Huachanga, who was traveling with him, looked at Su Huai's information and read out, "Su Huai, from the 3rd University in Tianfu Qingguen District." The last update of the information was on May 24. At that time, the candidate's data was, Barbaric Level 1 star, 1.4 HP, 1.45 tons of strength. From May 24 to now, it has only been 2 weeks, with a health value of 8.7 and a strength of 14.8 tons. If no drugs that damaged the foundation were used, the speed of this strength improvement could be considered abnormal, which is very suitable for our selection requirements. Immediately, Huachanga shook his head again and said, "Unfortunately, he's someone who uses poison. Otherwise, this Su Huai might really be qualified to compete with the 3 seeds we have chosen." Lin Miaoyuan shook her head and said, "He may not be able to compete with those 3 seeds. Lose mobility in 5 seconds and die within 10 seconds. The contagion is so strong that it can only complete the transmission of toxins in an instant. Within a certain spatial range, this contagion will be endless. Unless there are no more living creatures in this area, the transmission and poisoning will not stop. It's not an exaggeration to say that within a limited spatial range, this Su Huai can at least achieve invincibility at the same level. This kind of toxicity is the only thing I've ever seen in my life." It is obvious that she is very optimistic about Su Huai. Huachanga also nodded. He doesn't deny what Lin Miaoyuan said. Just, the poison-type talent harms others and oneself. The stronger the cultivation, the stronger the toxicity. This is itself a talent that goes against the life attributes of living beings. At first, we met a person with a strong poison talent in the military camp. He relied on his strong poison talent to defeat the younger generation of invincible opponents and was directly awarded the rank of major. Even the senior management of the military camp highly valued him, but later on, his body couldn't withstand the poison and suffered a backlash, and he was completely defeated. The poison-type talent may seem fierce and powerful, but in reality, it can harm others and oneself. I see that Su Huai's poison is several times more severe than that person back then, which also means his backlash will come faster. Although it is a rare dual talent, another talent is the accelerated reproduction of the life department, with no combat training value. Perhaps, compared to the martial arts university and the army, the agricultural university is more suitable for him. Lin Miaoyuan smiled, as if she had expected Huachanga to say so. Yanghua has 7 preparation zones, and our Tianfu preparation zone ranks last in the annual youth training camp competition. Do you want to do it again this year? The words rang out, and the invigilator next to him instinctively took a few steps back, distancing himself from the two. The 2 officers didn't even consider him an outsider. Was this something he could hear? Huachanga was slightly shocked for a moment and said, "You're not the kind of person who involves unrelated people just for the sake of winning or losing a martial arts competition. What are you thinking?" Lin Miaoyuan took out a chip-like object and handed it to the invigilator, saying, "Raise the difficulty level for him. If something happens, I will take responsibility." Huachanga's pupils furrowed and he said, "Monster Siege 2.0 version. Are you still carrying this? Lin Miaoyuan said, don't forget that our ultimate goal in taking charge of the college entrance examination is to select candidates for the youth training camp. Of course, we need to do more preparation. Then he pointed to Su Huai in the picture and said, I don't have the right to directly drag him into the youth training camp, and you can't deny him just because he is a poison-type talent with a low growth limit. But as the overall person in charge of the Tianfu City examination area, I have the right to give him a chance. Now, it depends on whether he can grasp it himself. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 9. Infernal Blood Dragon Lizard, don't be cowardly or reckless. Begging for flowers. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Fierce Beast Siege 2.0 version. This is something that the army will use for collective training of new recruits. 20 years ago, the border city guarded by Wang-level warrior Yi Fanhai was first breached by the northern high wall. It is said that at that time, all the troops guarding the north were damaged in battle and were taken advantage of by a second-order fierce beast, attracting more fierce beast armies to slaughter the people in the city, and causing a situation of encirclement between the defending General Yi Fanhai and the rest of the defending forces in the city, ultimately destroying the city. It is not an exaggeration to say that the successful invasion of that second-order ferocious beast is a turning point for the failure of the human side. The 2.0 version of the Beast Siege perfectly reproduces this scene. Huachanga's pupils shrink, glancing at Lin Miaoyuan with a strange and puzzled gaze. How could she still carry this thing? Lin Miaoyuan handed the chip to the invigilator and then said to Huachanga, don't forget that our ultimate goal in taking the college entrance examination is to select candidates for the youth training camp. Of course, we need to do more preparation. At the same time, a line of text appeared in front of Su Huai, who was in the interior created by the actual combat simulation warehouse. Successfully defended the city. The battle damage rate of defending soldiers is less than 30%, and the damage rate of urban buildings is less than 50%. Rating: S level. Su Huai glanced over and didn't feel surprised at all. When he came up with this set of exam questions, he thought of 2 ways to defend a city: steady defense and adventurous attack. As long as all the fierce beasts that come to attack the city are slaughtered, it will naturally be judged as a successful defense and reach the highest standard of less than 30% damage rate for soldiers and less than 50% damage rate for buildings. Of course, there is another purpose of doing this, which is to test one's own strength. The qi, blood, and strength that were tempered after being fed back by trillions of nano-poisonous insects did not disappoint him. 14.8 tons of power is enough to withstand the impact of first-order ferocious beasts, and with the protection of poisonous miasma everywhere, as long as these first-order ferocious beasts dare to touch him, it will trigger endless infections and poisoning. Based on the current record, the threat that a first-order ferocious beast can pose to him is already very small. However, what excites Su Huai the most is the consumption of this battle on himself. As long as the nano-poisonous insects are injected into the body of the ferocious beast, the nano-poisonous insects that consume energy will start to divide and reproduce infinitely, constantly infecting the ferocious beast. So, it's not an exaggeration to say that in just World War I, apart from the initial consumption of nanoworms, he had almost zero consumption. Even the nanoworms that were initially lost were replenished from the carcasses of ferocious beasts through poison contact recycling. Although everything I just experienced was simulated by a real combat simulation warehouse, the real combat simulation warehouse has a highly reproducible feature, which means that what can be done in the simulation warehouse can also be done in reality. With almost zero consumption, he captured thousands of first-order ferocious beasts, and his own strength has undergone a qualitative leap compared to a day ago. How could he not be excited about this? I just don't know if the toxicity of the nano-poisonous insect can still exert such terrifying power when facing a second-level fierce beast with strength comparable to that of a tiger-level warrior. Su Huai murmured. In theory, nanoworms are not toxins in the sense of human cognition, but rather achieve rapid poisoning and absolute contact infection by destroying cells. The cells in the body of second-order ferocious beasts contain more energy, so nanoworms should be able to divide and reproduce faster, right? Su Huai pondered while waiting for the practical simulation warehouse to drive his consciousness away and return to the real world. But at this moment, additional exam questions launched, Beast Siege 2.0, Looking at the suddenly appearing text in front of him, Su Huai was clearly stunned for a moment. 2.0 version. What a ghost. This is. I have also participated in simulated combat training in school before. In theory, after success or failure, ratings will pop up in the interior, and then the simulation room will drive the user's consciousness away and return to the real world. After completing the game, I suddenly encountered version 2.0 or something, which is the first time I have encountered it. At this moment, the text in the interior is still constantly emerging. C.Level Qualification Standard. Defeat second-order ferocious beasts that take advantage of the opportunity to enter, B.Level Good Standard. Kill a second-order ferocious beast that takes advantage of the opportunity to enter, A.Level Excellent Standard. Kill second-order ferocious beasts that take advantage of the opportunity and have a casualty rate of less than 50% among the people in the city, S.Level Super Excellent Standard. Kill second-level ferocious beasts that take advantage of the situation, and the casualty rate of the city's residents is less than 30%. With the emergence of assessment and scoring standards, everything that happened to Su Huai also began to change. He stood awkwardly on a broad city square, surrounded by vast ruins, corpses, and injured and trapped civilians. In front of me is a large lizard that is over 20 meters long and nearly 10 meters tall, second-order ferocious beast, Infernal Blood Dragon Lizard. Su Huai's memory search in his mind quickly found the information of the fierce beast in front of him, the third year's Fierce Beast Guidebook, page 13 of the first page. The Infernal Blood Dragon Lizard, with extremely thin dragon beast bloodline, is a lower quality dragon species than the sub-dragon species bloodline. However, its body, like iron cast steel forged scales, gives this ferocious beast extremely terrifying defense, making it a terrifying existence standing at the peak of the second-order ferocious beasts. Recalling the information about the bloodless dragon lizard, Su Huai's mouth curved with a smile. I was just thinking about the killing power of nanoworms on second-order ferocious beasts, but I didn't expect the test product to be delivered to my door so quickly. Exam countdown, 5, 4, 3. At the moment when the countdown was reset to 0, Su Huai repeated his old trick and let out a cold shout, spreading a poisonous miasma all over his body. Stomping up from the ground, his deep purple-brown body exuded a suppressed aura, and he smashed towards the bloodless dragon lizard like a shell from the barrel. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward.